This piece is based on the mazes that I draw, both with a pen and with MATLAB. This is the maze I drew on a campus that I'm aiming to recreate using MATLAB. I derived and wrote a file for MATLAB that generates a different maze every time I run it. When I openly talk to people about autism, I find a lot of people are often confused and misguided about what autism is. So everyone has a different way of thinking. Everyone has a different native internal language. The world we live in is not exactly set up for people that think differently. No one has taught me how to manage myself in this world. I've simply done a lot of thinking and figured out how to communicate my discontinuities clearly. I talked to my brother about this, and his reaction was that this couldn't possibly be true, because he has a different way of thinking, and that would make him autistic. I told him that everyone thinks differently, and that isn't bad or even inherently autistic. We often classify people as autistic when they struggle to adapt to different ways of thinking. Test takers like my brother can easily think in terms of someone else's words and come to a clear conclusion without a thorough understanding. However, those classified as autistic struggle to translate one way of thinking to another and to communicate in general. My native internal language that I create thoughts in is very distant from the words that we talk to each other with. It's not a matter of language of culture, like English or Spanish. It's fundamentally a different way of forming ideas. There are no words inside my head. There's also no pictures, or at least not ones that I could describe or draw. My head creates constructs of the ideas I see around me as a matter of relativity. I see things with respect to other things. As I translate ideas, I have to put in a large amount of effort to ensure that the ideas I am translating do not end up having a different meaning, either from the thoughts others share with me or those I want to share with you. Imagine playing charades where you can only roughly hint at the ideas you want to communicate. You can communicate to some degree, but there is no direct translation from a picture to a gesture or word. As I translate what I am thinking or hearing, this is what happens inside my head. I might hear two words like run and jog and end up translating them to mean the same thing. I struggle to pick up on the nuances between words without a large amount of effort. I can see wonderful things inside of my head. The best description I can give is that I think in terms of logic. I don't connect to emotions very well and directly form my thoughts and decisions with logic. I am successful as a musician, scientist, and engineer because of my ability to understand complex problems logically. I play trombone, bass trombone, and tuba in 3 different bands. When I listen to and play music, I can see the pitches inside my head as a visual representation of each pitch relative to the last. I can even see these pitches while I improvise a solo. When it comes to chemistry, I can see entire mechanisms inside my head. Nothing is too complex for me, only too simple. I can do great things, but I struggle to find context for the ideas that I process. At first sight of looking at this maze, you can probably only see a tangled mess. This is what I see when information is thrown at me. When I can understand the context and know exactly what it means is when I'm able to map everything out like a maze, connecting all of the ideas together. It doesn't matter how complicated it is. If I can manage to grasp how ideas relate to each other, I can build the context I need to comprehend it. Now take a closer look at this section of the maze. Visually, these 2 lines are very close to each other. However, they are not connected directly to each other. To someone else, 2 ideas might intuitively be related to each other, but to me, these 2 ideas or concepts are actually distant from each other. I need a lot more information to build a context that will describe the second idea in terms of the first one. I can't jump from one path to another the same way that someone else might be able to. I can use this method to respond to questions you might ask me, but in general my memory needs more time to carry out this process. There is a method to the translation process, albeit an elongated one. The difficulty to comprehend and translate simple ideas that are distant from one's internal language is what we categorize as autistic today. This is not a negative word, it simply is a descriptor for how someone's brain is wired. No one has taught me how to break apart and describe how my brain works, but over time I was able to find that I had many skills I could harvest. I believe that everyone has different ways of thinking, with skills they can harvest with enough time and effort.